Mama Beauty's regret. I will never forget the day I saw Mama Beauty sitting outside her restaurant, staring into space. She used to be the most feared and admired woman in town, but now, she looked lost. The same beauty that once made men fight over her had faded. The smooth, glowing skin was now dull and wrinkled. The bright, sharp eyes were now tired and empty. People still whispered when they passed her, but it wasn't the same. Before, they whispered in admiration and jealousy. Now, they whispered in pity. Some still feared her because of the damage she had done in the past, but most just shook their heads. Mama Beauty grew up in the barracks. Her father was a military officer, and discipline was everywhere around her, but she never let it touch her. From a young age, she knew she was special. She was tall, fair-skinned, and had a body that made men lose their senses. She didn't need money, men gave it to her. She didn't need to beg, men ran to her, desperate for her attention. She was the woman every man wanted. Responsible men wanted to marry her. Married men wanted to risk their homes for her. She could have had a stable, happy life if she wanted, but she didn't care for marriage. She laughed at her friends who settled down early, saying they were wasting their youth. She believed her beauty would always give her options. She wanted to test all the important men in town before deciding on a husband. The problem was, most of these men were already married. And Mama Beauty had no respect for marriage. She didn't just take husbands, she humiliated their wives. If a wife dared to complain, she would make sure the woman suffered. She had soldier boyfriends who would go and deal with any woman who tried to fight back. I remember hearing about women who got slapped in the market or disgraced on the streets just because they confronted their cheating husbands. People feared her. Nobody wanted to be on her bad side. But time does not respect beauty. At first, the changes were small. Younger girls started appearing, fresh and full of life. The men who once chased her started looking elsewhere. At first, she ignored it. She still had enough admirers. But slowly, her options became fewer. Some of the men had grown too old for such games, while others had found younger lovers. Then one day, she looked around and realized she had no real options left. No man wanted to marry her anymore. The good men had settled down with wives who loved them. Even the reckless ones had built families and moved on. She started to panic, but she didn't want to show it. One of her old lovers, a businessman, took pity on her and set up a restaurant for her. It gave her a way to survive, but it was not the life she had imagined. The power she once had over men was gone. Worse, the women she used to insult were now respected mothers and grandmothers, their children successful, their lives full. The frustration started showing. She was always angry. In her restaurant, she snapped at workers over small mistakes. If a customer annoyed her, she insulted them without caring. Sometimes, she didn't even realize when she was showing her frustration. She would yell at a child playing near the door or curse at a woman who greeted her too casually. People avoided her restaurant, not just because of her past, but because she had become too bitter. Then, when she was 47, she made a desperate decision. She had given up on marriage, but she still wanted something, a child. She needed someone to call her mother, someone to take care of her when she was old. She didn't care who the father was anymore. One of her former lovers, now an older man, got her pregnant. She had a baby girl, and for a while, it seemed like things would be better. But raising a child alone, without a husband or family support, was not easy. She struggled. The same men who once swore their love to her were either dead or too old to care. The same women she hurt were now grandmothers, surrounded by children and love. By the time she turned 55, she was truly alone. Her restaurant was still running, but she had no joy in it. Her daughter, growing up without a father or a stable home, struggled in life. Mama Beauty had money, but no real family, no real love. She became a warning. Parents used her story to teach their daughters about life. Mothers would point at her restaurant and say, "You see Mama Beauty. She was once the most beautiful woman in this town, but now she is alone. No husband, no home, nothing. Do you want to end up like that?" Fathers would shake their heads and tell their daughters, "No matter how beautiful you are, one day it will fade. Use your youth wisely." Older women told young girls, "Marriage is not a game. Don't waste your life chasing men who will never stay." Look at Mama Beauty. Her name became a proverb in town. She used to be admired, feared, and envied. Now, she was nothing more than a lesson, a warning to every young girl who thought beauty could last forever. And every time I walked past her, I could see it in her eyes. She regretted it all.